It's all about the Benjamins, shout-a.
What y'all wanna do? Wanna be ballers, shot callers, brawlers?
Hollywood went from silence to sound over 80 years ago. Most moviegoers take sound for granted. It is such an important aspect of movies. Sound brought about technical changes in the movie industry as well as creative. And more importantly, audiences loved it and still love it today. Silent movies dominated the early 1900s. Early movie theaters would have pianists accompany the action on screen. The music would differ from theater to theater. Silent films were the norm, and the actions of the characters completely guided the story along with the occasional dialogue card. It wasn't until 1927, with the release of The Jazz Singer, that movies with sound, or talkies as they were commonly called, took off. Even though The Jazz Singer had sound to accompany it, it was still partially silent. It was just the beginning of an era of change in the movie industry. By the end of the 1930s, over 40% of the country's theaters had sound systems installed. Directors such as Alfred Hitchcock, with his movie Blackmail, realized that putting sound in a movie during post-production was more sensible than recording live dialogue. Movies today still add sound and after a movie has been shot, especially special effects sounds such as doors closing or footsteps. This use of dialogue and sound effects is much more appealing than dialogue cards appearing on screen to inform viewers of what is going on. Early movies of the sound era simply exploited the novelty of sound, but a new genre quickly developed from the introduction of music into movies. That genre would be the musical. Musicals are a Broadway tradition, but the invention of sound in movies helped musicals make their way to the big screen. Without the inclusion of music, this genre would not exist today. Along with all these changes to movies came a simple change in audiences. Simply, they wanted more talkies. This is evident especially when looking at movies now. People love dialogue and music in their movies. Sound completely changed the face of the industry almost overnight. The film industry has never looked back.
Today, the film world is much different thanks to digital film. The use of digital techniques in film has made movies like Transformers and Spider-Man possible. Not only does digital film make editing easier for the professionals, digital film makes it possible for almost anyone to create a film or movie. One of the biggest breakthroughs in the digital world of filmmaking was Star Wars, which was made in 1977. Star Wars was the first film to use 3D computer graphics. Star Wars paved the way for the modern film industry. Seldom is there a modern movie that does not incorporate some sort of computer-generated imagery. Star Wars, with the use of computer-generated imagery, created new, innovative possibilities. Before computer-generated imagery, no one thought a movie like 300 was possible. The majority of 300 was filmed in front of a blue screen and the backgrounds were created digitally. Digital filmmaking is so prevalent in our modern society that anybody can make their own film or movie. In the old days, the only way to edit film was to manually cut the film by hand. Digital filmmaking has revolutionized our modern society. Never has there been so many films out there from a variety of sources. Millions of people have YouTube accounts where they upload their digital movies. Whether it be a video podcast, an independent film, a short movie, a video blog, or a web show, if it's on the internet, it's a form of digital filmmaking. Not only did the digital era of filmmaking change the film industry, it revolutionized our modern society.
The progression of animation in movies has been one of the most important progressions in the movie industry in the past 100 years. Since the appearance of the first successful animated movie, Gertie the Dinosaur, in 1914, animated movies have incorporated color, contained sound, and have produced classic characters such as Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, and the Flintstones. Animated movies have progressed to the point where they're currently combined into live human films like Space Jam, and Pixar Studios has developed new computer graphic imaging films. At the forefront in CGI films are Pixar films like Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, and WALL-E, which have already made a lasting impact in the movie industry. They have seriously impacted the box office and have been successful within the movie industry, but their success goes beyond just movies. They have created major icons that are marketed worldwide. Six Flags markets the classic Looney Tunes gang, and Disney World markets the classic Disney characters. They've become famous Broadway plays and have even been toys in Happy Meals. Not only have they become major marketing strategies, but the movies instill positive messages in children and create role models, and can be enjoyed by all ages. Animated movies will be a good source in instilling these positive messages for years to come, along with creating buzz for new movie technologies. Animation won't die, it will only multiply.
The best change, though, of all time, though, and within the film industry can be, well, in my opinion, digital distribution. Digital distribution basically involves putting the film online, allowing viewers to buy it online through services such as iTunes, Netflix, and Jamon. This is becoming more common lately because of the fact that, well, we as a generation become more reliant on computers. We become more of a I want now generation, the generation of get it now. In fact, through this way, the filmmakers really gain a lot of benefit. First off, they control most of the profits, and they control where the film actually shows and how it's distributed. They also control whether or not audiences see it through Netflix, through the internet, in the theater. In fact, digital distribution gives most of the filmmakers the profits, gaining at least up to 80%. Also through this way, a lot of films that really didn't have an audience found it. In fact, Walmart, the high cost of low prices, uses this method to its best advantage. What this film did was it was able to find an audience now and be able to get out its message against the giant corporation for its abusive employees. In fact, the first film really to do this was Steven Soderbergh's Bubble back in the early 2000s. He was the first filmmaker to distribute through three methods: in theaters, on IFC, and on DVD/digital distribution.
With today's technology, the way in which we view movies is drastically different from years ago. From enormous high-def TVs to small iPods that play movies, basically everything is different from the past. When the first VCRs were invented decades ago, they were about the size of a large piano and cost up to $50,000. These machines were highly unpractical and cost far too much for the average American to afford. Near the end of the 80s and start of the 90s, and after much work, inventors were able to create a practical VCR that jumped off the shelves. Now people were able to watch movies in the comfort of their own home. The next big hit in the at-home entertainment industry came towards the end of the 1990s. DVD players improved the quality of movies and allowed extra features to be seen by viewers. Within the past few decades, the way that we watch movies has improved dramatically. With advances of technology that are sure to come in the future, it is clear that the sky's the limit for the at-home entertainment field.
What y'all wanna do? Wanna be ballers, shot callers, brawlers, who be dipping in the bins with the spoilers, on the low from the Jake and the Taurus, trying to get my hands on some grants like Horace. Yeah, living the raw deal, 3-course meal, spaghetti, fettuccine